Module 4. The Qualities of Effective Assessment System. The last module looked at the steps that developers can take to embed continuous improvement within their assessment procedure. This module examines in more detail the qualities of a good system of assessment, the characteristics that users look for when choosing assessment, or the educators look for when evaluating an assessment system. In other words, the characteristics that make the assessment useful. 4 qualities of useful assessment: beneficial consequences, validity, reliability, practically. The 4 elements represent in Future 4.1 representative a broad but by no means universal consensus on the essential qualities that make up useful language assessment system. I would not wish to downplay the importance of other qualities that have been proposed, such as authenticity, Bachman and Palmer 1996, or absences of bias, Cunan 2004, which are discussed in Module 7, but I would argue that they are reasonable well accounted for within this 4 quality framework. Presenting the 4 quality Future 4.1 in the form of a cone with practicality at the base and beneficial consequence at the top is intended to convey something about the relationship between them. Practicality is found at the base because it is necessary condition for all assessment and in practically assessment with simply not survive for very long whatever its other distinction. Beneficial consequence that might flow from use of a language assessment are at effects of the code because they are the ultimate objective of any assessment system. This hope for consequence may include teaching and learning becoming more effective, opportunities opening up for language learners, and employers finding suitable qualified staff to carry out linguistically demanding tasks. Other qualities, beneficial consequence, are not guaranteed by the assessment system lacks practicality, reliability, and validity. Movement up the cone also represent increasing controversy. Judging the practicality of an assessment system is an relatively straightforward matter. Its validity and consequence with much more open to dispute. Practicality was described by Bachman and Palmer 2010, page 262, as the difference between the resources that will be required in the development and use of assessment and the resources that will be available for these activities. It is self-evident that an assessment that lacks resources will not be suitable if there is not enough time, equipment, money, or expertise to operate an assessment. It may never be used and certainly will not survive in use for very long. In reality, assessment is always in competition for resources. In any language teaching organization, informal assessment in the classroom has to compete for time and attention with other day-to-day activities, while at the more formal summative end of the continuum assessment has to compete for funding with libraries, computers, software, teacher salaries, and all other essential requirements of a functioning school, college, or national education system where quality assessment is made a priority. Resources can often be found to support it. Practicality can be thought about in terms of efficient the extent to which the commitment of resources to a system of assessment is justified by the benefits it brings. As in other areas of expenditure, assessment choice involve a complex balancing of benefits and costs. As where 1993, page 22, put it, we have to be sure that the tasks we are using are the most efficient way of obtaining the information we need. Equality, it is important to ensure that all of activities involved in an assessment, including development, scoring, giving feedback, reporting resulting, and monitoring quality, are taken into account and that they are carried out as efficiently as possible. Education managers need to weigh up the gains from investing in the assessment against the other demand on their budget teachers need. To think about how much of the limited time they have with their students should be spent on assessment and how best to integrate and balance this with other activities. Assessment system cannot and should not continue to be used unless a completing case can be made that the benefits of maintaining them outweigh the cost. Task 4.5, the place of assessment in the classroom. Add your own ideas to this list of language teacher responsibilities. Keeping administrative records, planning lesson, being accessible and caring toward students, effective classroom management, assessing student progress and achievement, professional development, developing knowledge of the language, developing knowledge of teaching principle, techniques, making topic interesting and engaging for students. It is not easy to find the right balance. Teachers may enthusiastically take up new ideas only to find that they cannot keep up with the additional workload, or they may resist new form of assessment because they worry that the new system might involve extra tasks that they cannot fit into their already busy schedules. Often managers underestimate the amount of time and the commitment of resources required to support good quality system and so fail to invest enough. Alternatively, they may overestimate the cost, conclude that they are prohibited and fail to invest at all. Many assessment projects fail because of planning only allows for the cost of development and not the substantial additional resources needed to keep the system going. It can be difficult to persuade managers and policymakers that it's not enough just to be seen to have a test or assessment in place. That it is vital that should also be useful as a basis for making informed decisions about assessments. Making it useful will mean allowing for the ongoing costs involved in maintaining supporting, and improving it. As with other areas of policy, good quality assessment often relies on energetic individuals who are prepared to argue for finding, demonstrate the value of good practice, criticize bad practice, and is recognize what is and is not achievable in their working context. Table 4.1 suggests a list of illustrative practical issues that may constrain an assessment developing and therefore need to be taken into account. Bachman and Palmer 2010, Brown 2005, VAC 2009. These are organized in relation to the role identified in Module 2. Judgment about how best to allocate resources usually bring with them disagreement and political controversies in addition to what the scarce resources constraint of the kind presented in Table 4.1. VAC 2009 observes that there are often additional system constraints imposed by established working practice, cultural issues. Some place performance is traditionally reported in terms of percentage, while in other teachers tend to use letter grade. Certain approach to assessment and certain item format are favored in some countries but rejected in others. Multiple choice question in standard examination are well established in Turkey, for example, but are seen as controversial in Russian Federation, where assessment by the teacher using performance assessment is the tradition. It will generally be less continuous to go along with local expectations than to try to take a different direction. Advances in computer technology have made some techniques such as controlling and timing the delivery of assessment more practical. They have opened up opportunities to capture more kinds of data, such as how long each assesses take to respond to each item. However, different software platforms also impose their own limitation. It will not be possible to deliver ideas for innovative task format if the software lack the functionally, and some techniques are actually easier to manage on paper. Problem with software or with the logistic of delivering material to large number of assessors by computer have put an unexpected end to may otherwise promising project. While it's not possible for any assessment to be reliable, valid, or beneficial if it's not sufficiently practical to get off the ground, it is quite possible to have a practical assessment, one that is administratively manageable, that has very little to recommend it in terms of other qualities. In fact, such assessments are all too common, as Baker 1984 rather cynically expressed it in relation to end of the year examination. All that is necessary is that the exam be difficult or traumatic and have some vague relationship to the course the learners have followed. Very often in situations where assessments are used, no information is ever collected that would allow users to tell whether they have any of the qualities that might make them useful. It's seen to be enough that a student answer question and the grade or score are awarded even if nobody can explain what this might actually mean. Reliability. We use various tools every day to measure aspects of the world around us. Clock to measure time, scale for weight, thermometer for temperature, and so on. When we use them, we want to know what we can interpret these two tools consistently if the time on your watch was sometimes the same as the clock on the wall, and sometimes very different, or if your scale told you that 1 liter of water weighed 500 grams in the morning and 2 kilograms in the afternoon. You should reasonably conclude that they were faulty and would not trust what they told you. Of course, many of the tools we do use every day are not very accurate, but they are good enough for our purposes. We generally get to meeting on time. We measure out ingredients and cook food at a suitable temperature. Much more precise tools are available, but there is trade-off between precision and cost. Accuracy is expressive. Most people don't mind arriving a little early or late for a meeting and barely notice if the temperature in the room is 1 or 2 degrees warmer or cooler. That is displayed on the thermometer. Measurement of time, temperature, or weight involve tangible quantities that most people do not find controversial. Language ability, much more slippery and less certain concept. In most approaches to language assessment, it is assumed that language abilities represent a kind of mental trait or attribute similar to physical traits such as height or weight. We often describe people as having more or less language ability and rather the same way as we describe them as being tall or short. Anyone comparing fluent speaker with learner just beginning to grapple with a language may have little difficulty in accepting this idea. On the other hand, all language learners know that they are better at coping with some situation than others. Those who have studied a language as an academic subject to a high level often struggle to communicate when they first travel to a country where that language is spoken. Those who learn a language in the country becoming fluent through interaction with friends and neighbors may have more difficult with formal written language. In these circumstances, it is more difficult to judge who has the greater language ability. For this reason, it may make more sense to conceive of many different kinds of language ability, depending on the social purpose for which the language will be used. The development of assessment of language for business or for medical or academic or other specific purposes reflect this point of view. In any case, it has to be acknowledged that we are simple, not in a position to measurement language abilities with the same precision that we can achieve for weight or temperature. Even the very best language assessment cannot come close to the consistency and accuracy of watches or scale. It is inevitable that the estimation of language ability will involve substantial uncertainty or measurement error. The best we can do is to estimate the impact of this upon the score we obtain, and there are established statistical tools that allow us to do just that. Regrettably, user of assessment result often fails to understand the implication of measurement error. They often overlook or ignore it. If a student has scored 60 points on a language test and student B has scored 52, user may assume that this is constraint evidence that student A has greater ability than student B. As this section will illustrate, however, this is not necessarily a reasonable assumption at all. There are several potential sources of measurement error, and each affect the degree of confidence we can place in the accuracy of result. These sources of error include measurement using different tools, measurement on different occasions, measurement of different groups of assessors, and measurement by different individuals. If they have reasonable estimate of the amount of error and understand how to interpret this information, user can gain a sense of how accurate score and grade might be as indication of the assessor's abilities. Without this information, they can only guess. Measurement using different tools, consistency. Just as some tape of measure or scale are more accurate than others, there can be little doubt that language assessment can also more or less accurate. Also, unlike tape measure, assessment are usually more accurate along a certain limited stretch of the range of ability that at points about or below this. It is as true a tape measure could give distance between 40 and 60 centimeters quiet Presley 5.63 cm, 48.1 cm, but could only provide fuzzy estimate of about 25 cm or 30 cm, or at least 80 cm for distance outside this range. A completing factor is that we have no defendable yardstick to help us judge just how accurate our language assessment are. If our watches show different times, we can check them against a word clock on the internet. If our weighting scale disagree, we can use a standard weight to check which is accurate. Sadly, there is no general accepted gold standard measure of language ability. When they measure exactly the same qualities, we can translate results between different measurement scale by applying a simple calculating kilogram to pound in weight, Fahrenheit to Celsius in temperature, in contrast to weight or temperature. The concept of language ability itself is understood in rather different ways by individual teachers or test developers. According to their beliefs and intention, teachers may use different assessment methods and different combinations to measure ability and arrive at grades. Translating from one perspective to another may not always be possible, and this cause obvious difficulties for the user of assessment results. Content sampling. Even where two assessments are intended to measure the same knowledge, skill, or abilities, evolve to exactly the same specifications and are administered to the same people at the same time. In other words, where two forms of the same assessment are combined, there will be differences in the result. This is because each form can only deal with a very limited selection of the language to be assessed, and it is matter of change how far the sample that is chosen matches each learner limited knowledge. To illustrate sampling issues, let's say a teacher give class A group of 20 students, an informal test or quiz based on 1,000 words they are supposed to have learned to check whether the students know the words, leaving aside the tricky question of what is actually means to know a word. He could give them quiz made up of 1,000 questions. 1 point is available for each correct response. If all the students perform to the best of their ability and manage to stay awake, this quiz would show the test exactly which of the words each student know, but it would also take too much time and mindful of the need for practicality and efficient. He might decide that has a quick them item quiz based on a random selection of words should be enough to tell him which student now know most of the words and we do not. In fact, all through the teacher does not know this. Each student has learned a random selection of exactly half of the word. In this scenario, taking the quiz is rather like asking each student in the class to fill a coin 10, coin 10 times, as each student effectively has a 50% chance of knowing each of the word of the quiz. As all students know 50% of the word, you might expect most of them to get 5 questions right out of the 10. But if you flipped your coin 10 times, it's not particularly likely that you got 5 head, only about 25%, or 1 in 4 people get this result. Most people, 66%, or 2/3, will find they get 4, 5, or 6 head. So for most of Class A, the score of 4, 5, or 6 do roughly reflect that they know about half of the words. According to the law of probability, however, there is a good chance that 1 or 2 students might score 7 points and 1 or 2 might score 3 points. There is also a good chance that at least one could be very lucky or very unlucky in the same of word on the quiz. There about a 4% chance, just less than 1 to 1 in 20, that a student who knows just 500 of the 1,000 words would actually score 8 out of 10, and a similar chance that one would score 2 out of 10. It could not be astonishing if one scored 10 or 0. Now, let's imagine the teacher give the same quiz to a second group of 20 students, Class B, but in this group, each student only knows 250 of the words. Based on probability, each student in the class has roughly a 25% chance of success on each question. So we should expect just over half, 53%, or 11 of the students to score either 2 or 3. On the other hand, we could expect 4 or 5 students to get a score at least 4 out of 10. And this is similar chance that one student might be able to score 6 or more. If the teacher decide to recognize his class on the basis of this quiz, placing those score 3 or below into a lower level and those scoring 4 or above into a higher level class, we would expect to see around 7 of the 40 students going into the wrong class. Even if we increase the distance in the probability of success in the different group, let's say that in class A, plus students all know 70-50 words, there are still likely to be learner in class B who will know 70, who will perform at least as well on the quiz as the lowest score in class A, simply because of the choice of the word on the quiz. Happily for the teacher, there are ways to improve readability. One is to increase the number of questions. Of course, 1,000 questions would make the picture very clear, but even 100 questions would be enough to minimize the possibility that member of class A might be confused with member of class B. It is unlikely but not impossible that anybody in class A would score less or that anybody in class B would score more than 35 out of 100. On the other hand, taking a representative sample of the full range of language abilities is usually much more complex proposition than the one facing this teacher. Even when effort is made to minimize quality, precision is very difficult, time-consuming, and costly to achieve. Measurement in a different occasion is stability. A problem when trying to measure people physical characteristics like height, weight, and foot size is that this can fluctuate significantly. By late evening, people may be as much as 2 centimeters shorter than when they wake up in the morning. Mental abilities also fluctuate, being affected by the time of a day and physical condition. Performance on a task of all kids is affected by alertness, health, and mood. This means that even if we were able to administer identical and perfectly accurate language assessment on different occasions without learner recalling the answer they gave the first time around, we would still see differences in the learner's score on each occasion. And it's not only people abilities that change over time if we don't very carefully control the condition on each occasion that we administered. An assessment, the experience may be very inconsistent. Uncomfortable heart and traffic noise might make the afternoon listening session more difficult than the morning when it was cool and quiet. If the teacher of the class K allows her student 10 minutes longer to complete the writing assignment than was allowed for student in class J, they may procedure better work even though they have the same level of ability in writing. Holding condition constant can help to make result more reliable, but it can also be very limiting. Using only strictly controlled tasks for assessment in class can rule out the use of more creative, unpredictable type and restrict the role of the teacher to that of an investigator prevented from taking formative opportunities to investigate student difficulties or to help them learn from the improvement on their performance. In reality, when tasks are used by teacher, there will inevitable good deal of variability and condition, balancing the negative effect on reliability from the variation over the course of a few weeks or month. Teacher generally have numerous chance to observe what is student abilities that would be available from most tests. It had been argued that this broad sample of assesses ability may offset the limited reliability of the individual assessment tasks made by teacher Black and William 2006. Measurement of different individuals. Test taker characteristic. Differences in performance over time are closely related to the personal attribute of assessors. What Bachman and Palma 2010 called assessors characteristic. These were divided by O'Sullivan and Green to 2011 into three categories: physical, physiological, and psychological and experiential. See the table 4.2. Physical characteristic include, along with short-term illness and injuries, long-term disabilities that might impact upon test performance, such as poor eyesight causing difficulty in reading the test materials, and stable biological characteristics such as gender. Psychological characteristics also include reliability, short-term issues such as concentration and mood, together with more stable characteristics such as personal type. This characteristic can play a major part in performance or assessment. For example, some individuals suffer from such debilitating anxiety when taking tests that they may be unable to participate, while others seem to respond very positively to test conditions. Every effort should be made to put assessors at their easy so that they are all able to perform to the best of their ability. In table 4.2, the experiential characteristics include language background. Speaker or different language encounter different kind of difficult when learning a target language. Educational experiences, such as experience of learning language or previous practice with a certain type of assessment. General knowledge is also likely to contribute to performance. Knowing something about the topic of a recording might help an assessor to perform well on a listening test. Learners with little experience of using a language for communication will struggle to respond to a self-assessment questionnaire based on a real-world language use. For example, assessors will find it much easier to respond yes or no to a statement on a self-assessment questionnaire, such as I can make a complaint about simple matter. For example, the light in my room does not work. Association language tester in Europe 2002, if they have experience of similar situation, contrasting group of assessors, men and women, adult and children, may have different amount and different kinds of knowledge about the world. Differences about between assessors affect estimate of the reliability of measurement. When assessment are administered to more homogeneous group, they produce more reliability result. When different population of assessors are involved with different areas of strength or weakness, it is not so straightforward to rank them, and results tend to be less consistent. In assessment that include the use of article in English, a, and the. For example, if all the test taker are speaker of French or Spanish language that have article system, the results are likely to be more consistently than if the French and Spanish test taker are joined by speaker of Turkish and Russian, speaker of language that do not have article system. Generally, low-scoring French assessors may perform rather well on the question involving article, while otherwise, high-scoring Turkish assessors might perform reliability poorly on the same question. Some differences in performance associated with test taker characteristics may actually be relevant to the decision that test taker users to make. For example, a Japanese learner of Chinese is likely to have advantage over a Thai learner in a reading test because the Japanese writing system is based on Chinese character, but the Thai is not. However, this advantage also applies in the real world Japanese. People can read and understand many signs written in Chinese without speaking of the language. The test simply reflects this natural advantage. Other characteristics may affect performance on an assessment, not affect performance in the real world. This will distort the picture given of real abilities. It has sometimes been found, for example, that teenager boys tend to perform a little better when grades are based on one-off tests that use multiple choice questions, while girls perform better when grades are based on regular homework exercises. Murphy, 1982, a multiple choice test may tend to an advantage boys, but real-life language use does not usually involve choosing answer A, B, or C, and so the advantage is probably just down to the test format and not relevant to the purpose of assessment. Limiting the range of format used for assessment to multiple choice question may therefore introduce a small but systematic bias in favor of boys as a group, but the advantage will not necessarily apply to every individual. Measurement by different individuals, scorer and rater reliability. Just as individual assessors perform inconsistently, so individual score may award different number of points to the same performance. All scoring processes involve a degree of interpretation, uncertainty, and inaccuracy. See Module 3. However, the form of scorer reliability that attracts the most attention is rater reliability. When scoring involves the judgment of extended construct responses. If 10 teacher, or rather a score of extended performances responses, are all asked to judge the same performance, extremely likely that will award in the same scorer. When the extent of the variation between the scores they award is at issue, this is inter-rater reliability even when the same person judged the same piece of work. On two different occasions, the score awarded can change substantially. The extent of this variation is a matter of intra-rater. Perhaps the earliest statistical study on the inconsistencies among rater was carried out by the British statistician Edgeworth, 1890. He published a short composition written in Latin and invited qualified examine to score it on a scale of 1 to 100 as truth. It has been written for the prestigious Indian Civil Service examination. He received 28 responses. The number of score awarded at different levels is shown in figure 0.2. Two examiners judged the composition work of full 100 marks, but one score is allowed as 45 and three others also gave it a falling score of less than 70. Edgeworth, 1890, page 653, conclude that I find the element of the chance in this public examination to be such that only a fraction, from a third to two-thirds, of the successful candidate can be regarded as quite safe about the danger of coming out unsuccessful if a different set of equally competent judge had happened to be appointed. You might like to try a similar experience to discover whether the situation has improved since 1890 task 4 point. Happily, it is possible to train raters to be more consistent. This is usually done through standardization session. In a typical standardization session for an interview test, a group of aspiring raters is shown several video recordings explaining different score levels and coverage the full range of the rating scale. The raters look at previously rate interviews, discuss the rating scale and criteria with the developers, and try to adjust their own interpretation of scale until they feel they can consistently match the predetermined official score. The trainers are then asked to work independently to rather more recordings of interviews. Their rating are compared with the official score for this interview. If the new raters consistently agree with the official score, they are allowed to work a straight of the assessment. If they do not achieve constant agreement, they are either given further training until they become consistent or they are rejected. When scoring operational tests of writing or speaking, it is generally recommended that at least two judges should rate each performance independently without seeing each other's scores, and their score should be average. If the two scores differ by more than one band on the rating scale, a third independent rater should be used, and the two closest score of the three should be treated as the final score. Loma 2004, Weigel 2002. Even where extensive training is given over time, idiosyncrasies in rating behavior tend to recur. Lambre 2005. Retraining should be carried out before each round of scoring, and constant monitoring is needed to check that raters remain in line with the intended standard. One way to to monitor raters would be to include some previously rated scripted for which official score have been fixed and to check that the raters match the official score on most or all of these. Same training procedures can be used regularly to encourage teachers to grade learners. Again, comparable standard in their classroom assessment. Of course, teachers who fail to achieve consistency cannot usually be included in the same way as a test taker, but they can be given ongoing training. Just as double rating should be used in large-scale testing, grading decision should be moderated by other teachers to ensure fairness. Example of written work or recording of performance should be given to other teacher to rate independently against the share criteria. Where disagreement occur further, rating should be carried out. If a teacher is constantly harsh or more lenient in their grading decision than his or her college's grade should be adjusted accordingly before they are announced to the assessors. There are statistical techniques such as multi-phase rush analysis that can be used to make this kind of adjustment. See Bachman 2004. 7 ways to build reliability into assessment design. The following suggestions are based on Hodge 2003, Brown 2004, and Douglas 2010. Make tasks clear and unambiguous if the assessment is well laid out and clearly explained so that assessors can all say exactly what they need to do. There is a better chance that their performance will actually reflect the intended language abilities. If instructions are not clear to everyone, that is not a problem with the assessors, but when the assessment which need to be improved. Add more tasks or more assessment. If you task one question, a weak assessors may get lucky and give a correct answer. If you ask more questions, luck will be less of a factor and a consistent feature of assessors' ability is more likely to emerge. The more often you observe a student during a course, the more likely it is that you will be reasonable sense of where his or her strengths and weaknesses lie. Limit the scope of what you assess. A grammar test with only one formal would be more reliable than a test involving a range of language skill and abilities with multiple format. However, this will also limit what can be learned about the assessor's abilities. Standardized condition. Result will be more consistent if the conditions are the same for everyone. All truth, there may be good arguments in favor of everyone. Offering choice to assessing or giving some assessors more time offering choice than other, such variation and condition will reduce reliability. Control how the assessment is scored. Providing clear and comprehensive answer key unambiguous rating scale and training for score. On rater, they are all likely to lead to more consistent result. Add more score raters of performance if two people score an assessment and the items scored are compared. Error can easily be identified and dealt with if two raters score a performance, their disagreement can be settled through a third opinion. The outcome is more likely to be a fair reflection of assesses abilities. Assesses learner with a wide range of ability. It is much easier to tell the difference between a carving made by an expert master craftsman and one made by beginner than to choose between two pieces made by expert. In the same way, it is reliability easy to build an assessment that reliability distinguishes between very high and very low ability. Language user, if all the assesses at roughly the same level, estimate of reliability are likely to be lower. Validity. It is important for all kinds of language assessment to be revealed. A learner told by one teacher that she had clear native-like pronunciation would feel confused and misled if her next teacher commented that her strong accent made her speech almost intangible and recommended remedial training. Unemployed who recruit two trainers with identical score on interview tests would lose confidence in the test if one trainer arriving for work seemed to be fluent in the language and the other incapable of connected speech. However, consistency of result is not guarantee of their quality experience. Tell us that is impossible to be consistently wrong. Defining validity. Validity is often seen as the essential quality of good assessment. According to the classic definition cited in language testing handbook such as Davis 1990 and Hodge 2003 and Brown 2005. A test can be considered valid when it really measures what is purport to measure. McCall's 1992, page 196. McCall 1992, 196 went on to explain the storing the validity of a test involved securing close correspondence between test result and practical life. Test results are more comparable to life results the more necessarily the test process approach the character of life process. If the step that the assessor has to go through to obtain a high score in tests closely match the processes that language user to go through with carrying out tasks in real life. The assessment accurately represented relevant future of the assessors, knowing skill or abilities, and so much be valid. The connection between tests and real-life abilities identified by McCall remains central in modern ideas about validity, but his definition is now sent to be too limited and somewhat misleading. A more current and comprehensive definition is given in 1999 Standard for Educational and Psychological Testing. Validity refers to the degree to which evidence and theory support the interpretation of test taker entailed by proposed uses of tests. American Educational Research Association et al. 1999. This definition is not straightforward, but importantly, it recognizes that there can be no such things as a valid assessment. Validity is not properly truth of as quality of assessment at all, but is a quality of the interpretation that user make of assessment result. An assessment can only be considered valid for certain the value of an assessment that is intended to inform one kind of decision and adequately measure what it purposes to measure for that purpose may be practical and underestimate if results are interpreted to support a different kind of decision. Further problem with McCall 1922. Classic definition of validity is that it implies a binary yes-no kind of distinction. Results are either valid or invalid, but validity is better seen a matter of degree. Inferences may be more valid for one kind of decision or for one population of assessors that for another. If follow that when evidence show that results of an assessment are sufficiently valid to support a decision about one assesses on one occasion, we cannot simply assume that they will be equally valid to support similar decision taken about different assesses or decision taken on other occasion. The process of collecting evidence of the validity of inference based on assessment result is known as validation. Many different approaches can be taken to validation, but the approach adopted should shed light on the conclusion that we wish to make about learners when using the assessment, ensuring that evidence and theory will support the interpretation of test score entailed by proposed users of tests must begin at the size of the design phase. When designing an assessment, we have seen that the first step should be to define an agreement on what knowledge, skill, or abilities are to be assessed in order to inform decision about the assesses. The point has already been made that knowledge, skill, and abilities cannot be directly observed and measured in the same way as physical characteristics such as height or weight. However, is it generally assumed that they can be described either as attribute of individual human mind or as product of human societies, and that they are variable. Some people have more of this attribute and others have less. For the purpose of assessment, abstract conception of this kind are known as psychological constructs. If we claim, such as your grandmother is the best cook in the neighborhood, we are implying that she possesses more of some underlying capacity or trait of cooking ability than the rest of us. But what exactly do we mean by cooking ability? Is the understanding of the concept the same as yours? How would I prove the truth of the claim that your grandmother is best? The two threats to validity. Messick 1989 argue that there are two basic threats to the validity of score interpretation. These are construct irrelevance elements are involved in assessment that are not connected to the knowledge, skill, or abilities we extend to measure and construct under representation. Failure to include elements on assessment that are relevant to the knowledge, skill, or abilities we intended to measure. Construct irrelevance. During the 19th century, a German doctor named Franz Joseph Gale founded a branch of science known as phrenology. He believed that it was possible to measure a person's mental abilities, including their capacity for learning language, by measuring the sample, the shape of their skulls, just as lifting heavy weight causes people muscle to increase in size. Gale believed that someone with a gift for language would have a well-developed language faculty in their brain. This would cause a certain region of their skull to bulge. A phrenologist's language aptitude assessment would involve making careful and no doubt very reliable measurement of the shape of a learner's head. Disappointingly, Gale theory provides to be mistaking skull shape is not connected to language ability. The phrenologist's language aptitude test would therefore be entirely construct irrelevance. The measurement would not really have any association with the ability supposedly being measured, and decision made based on the result would be unsound. Construct under representation. Most school language teaching programs are intended to develop student abilities in the traditional four skills of reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Unfortunately, in many school systems, the assessment of speaking is believed to be unmanageable and is often included from achieved test score on tests. Based on the other three skills are taken to represent learners' overall achievement. In their language studies, this means that an important component of achievement is not part of assessment. The intended construct of language assessment in all four skill areas is underrepresented. The feature users are given of a learner achievement may, as a result, be distorted. A student with good speaking skill but poor writing would be disadvantaged. Her friends who write will those not speak would be flattered by the test result. Cook is the same ability needed to prepare good Chinese food as is required to prepare good Brazilian food or good Russian food. Do savor distinct require the same abilities as sweet dishes. By the same token, different uses of language may involve different forms of language ability. Bachman and Palmer 2010, page 43, suggests the designer need to define language ability in a way that appropriate for each particularly assessment situation. Depending on the purpose for our assessment, there are many language-related constructs. You might be interested in this measuring. This would range from a very broad overall language proficient or reading comprehension to reading for gist, reading for detail, or something as specific as the ability of language learning. Assessment as maps. As told for communicating about the world around us. Assessment have been compared to map Heining 1987. Like map, different approach and format for assessment are suited to different purposes and must be carefully chosen. A map that is very helpful for one purpose may be quite useless for another. An inexpensive detail map is not always the one that best suits our needs. Practical maps often have to be quite limited in size. Designer must be selected in choosing with feature to display so that the paper or screen will not be overcrowded and unreadable. The presentation of oneself of futures such as road may involve taking away other futures such as hill and forest. Walking map provide a lot of detail but can cover only a small area. This may make it easier to follow. Transport map showing bus or train routes tell us the name of the stop, but do not accurately represent the physics distances between them and give no information about the landscape. When we buy a map, we choose one or combination of different maps that is likely to give us the information and level of details we need and no more. Like map makers, working with a small screen display, assessment designer only have a limited opportunity to build up a picture of assessors' abilities. They need to determine which feature of language ability it will be most useful for user to know about when making decision. In assessing achievement, the focus will be on what has been taught. In assessing proficiency, it will be on the features that are essential in the real-world situation, where the assessors will be expected to use the language. When users come to choose a language assessment, they should be clear about the kind of feature of learner ability they need in order to make reasonable decisions. Map must be regularly updated and improved to take account of chances in the landscape, new technologies, and that changing need of travelers. Similarly, we must constantly review and reverse assessment to ensure that they continue to give us the right information. The work of validation never ends. Beneficial consequence. Although map might appear simply to be neutral description of territory, they are much more than that. They can be powerful tools for control and exploitation. Some of the early known maps were used to plan military campaign, fix and ownership, and decide how much tax citizens should pay. Lines in picture drawn on map can become new roads, cities, boundaries, and barriers with dramatic transformative effect on the boundaries, on the landscape, and on people's lives. It has long been recognized that language assessment can also have powerful effect or impact upon the knowledge, skill, and abilities they are intended to describe or measure on individual, especially assesses, and on society more generally. Assessment can be life-changing. They are used in deciding who should have access to important opportunities in areas such as immigration, further education, and employment. They can serve as reliability, straightforward gateways to new prospects for some people and stand as impenetrable walls keeping others excluded. Assessment promise a fairer way of making decisions than the system of patronage and nepotism that they replace, but their apparent neutrality can mask continuing injustice. The content format administration of assessment can work systematically in favor of one group of assessors and against another. The people who administered assessment and make decisions based on assessment results generally have an official status that gives them power over the assessors. May not be easy to hold them to account if an assessment is unfair or has poorly administered. Somani 2001. A truly useful assessment is one that has more benefits than drawbacks for everyone involved. Washback. One area of impact that is one particular concern to teacher is known as washback. Washback connects the design and use of an assessment with what teacher and learner do in the classroom. When preparing for the assessment, it is often claimed that high-stake tests in particular have a determined effect on learning as teachers focus their effort on the context of the test at the expense of skills that are not tested. Future point 4. Set out how washback is believed to come about. First, the way in which learners respond to an assessment has a good deal to do with the design of the assessment and the content that is covered in preparing for an assessment. Teachers and learners would naturally be expanded to focus on the knowledge, skill, or ability that they believe the assessment deal with and give less attention to those that do not seem to be included. In a well-designed instructional perform program, consider is given to the relationship between what learners are intended to learn, the focal construct in future 4.4, and the content of the assessment. The overlap shown in future 4.4 is closely linked to face validity. See above as it reflects the point of view of the teacher and learner preparing for the test, their perception of what is being assessed. This influences the washback direction, which may be seen as positive or negative. If an assessment validity measure the range of ability that learners need to acquire, teachers should be encouraged to teach toward that assessment because learning for assessment will also meaning learner for life beyond the test. The direction of washback will be positive if the assessment appears to cover only a limited amount of content construction. Under representation or if it assesses ability that are not included on the planned curriculum construct irrelevance, the teacher may stop teaching important aspect of that curriculum in order to concentrate on the future that they believe are assessed. The direction of washback will be negative. Historically, arguments about washback have been most intense when there have been disagreement about the nature of language ability and effective language teaching. Group agreeing for traditional new approach come into conflict with assessment that are able based on the established old approach. A new curriculum introduce a focus on speaking skill, for example, but the old test is still used and it does not include a component assessing speaking. Teacher feel under pressure from student and their parents to get good result on the test, and so focus on the skill that are tested rather than on speaking skill. Mandated in the new curriculum, the solution, it has been argued, would be bring in a new test that does include a speaking component. This would encourage teachers to teach according to the new approach. More recently, research has highlighted a serious flaw in this line of argument. Teacher and learner behavior are not as easy to manipulate as it suggests. First, people may not be fully aware of changes made to the test or of its implication for teaching and learning. Second, they may not be sympathetic to the change and may resent them. A traditional teacher may not believe that it's possible or desirable to teach speaking skills and may avoid making any changes to her practices. Her colleagues may want to teach speaking but lack confidence in their own speaking abilities or lack the training to manage speaking activities in the classroom. The research into washback suggests that teachers tend to pay close attention to the format of a test rather than considering the underlying construct the knowledge, skill, or abilities targeted by the assessment. Just focusing on practicing with test format may not really help test taker to improve in the abilities being assessed. Green 2007, a new spoken interview assessment based on personal information intended to assess impromptu conversation. Skill might, in practice, encourage to assess memorization or formulatic exchange or short memorized speech on obscure topic, even though this may be of rather limited value outside or even inside the examination room. Shohami et al. 1996. Not every learner has the same access to preparation resources. Textbook sample, papers, computer, and tutor. Individuals have their own ideas about what might be effective ways of learning and of achieving success. They may or may not be persuaded by advice from testing organization, teacher, textbook writers, and others. Washback will be more powerful where all of these stakeholders and the educational system share the same belief about effective test preparation and work together to achieve it. In practice, washback ends to be highly washable, variable, washback, variability, and future 4.4. Within a single class, one learner may radically change her language learner behavior to prepare for a test, while another make no chance at all to this. The variability in the way that people respond to an assessment is linked to think perception of the importance and the level of challenges that the assessment represent. This factor influence the washback intensity that each individual experience. Washback will not be intense. Learners are not likely to change the way in which they learn in order to prepare for the assessment. If doing well does not really matter to them. This could be because they think successful is likely to be embarrassingly easy, or on the other hand, because they think stand no chance of getting a good score. Washback is likely to be more intense if learners do value success and think that achieving it is challenging but realistic. In this circumstance, learners are likely to do whatever they can to prepare for the assessment. They might increase the amount of studying that they do, or they might be prepared to change their study method to limit the intensity of the washback from any single assessment, so that no one assessment come to dominate teaching and learning. It may be wise for test user to be based decision on as wide a range of evidence as possible, and make it very clear to the test taker that this is this policy. This strategy for improving validity, advocate Hodge 2003, page 54, of sampling widely and unpredictably, is also relevant to washback, as it means that learners and teachers cannot foresee what is likely to be assessed, and so concentrate their effort on learning only that reliability narrow area of content. All assessments have consequence for all least one person. The impact is unlikely to be really beneficial unless the assessment is practical, reliable, and valid. If the information gained from an assessment is misleading, it is likely that many of consequences following from it will be damaging. That is not to say that beneficial consequences will automatically come from good assessment. Potential benefits will only be fully realized if all participants in the educational system work together. Feedback. While washback from tests can have powerful effect on the behavior of teachers and learners, the consequences of formative classroom-based procedure are more immediate and potentially more far-reaching. Such assessment much of course have practically reliability and validity. The score and users, usually the teacher and learner themselves, need a clear and accurate picture of what it is that learners are or are not able to do. This will not be possible unless the task and questioning technique they use are of good quality. However, understanding about learners' knowledge, skill, or abilities, correctly inferring what they can or cannot do is not enough. To be useful, the insight obtained through formative assessment procedure must inform effective action. The main priority of formative assessment is therefore the provision of feedback that encourage and promote learning. Stefan, 2006. Feedback is a metaphor based on systematic engineering. It involves using information about the current state of a system to regulate and make adjustment to the system. The ancient technology of water clock, see Future 4.5, exploit the concept water faces through a gap of fixed size at a constant rate, and think fact can be used to tell the time. If water drips through a hole in the bottom of one bowl into a second bowl. The amount of water collected there show how much time has passed. However, if the level of water in the top bowl goes up or down, the drips will flow out different speed and the clock will become inaccurate. For the clock to work well, the water in the top bowl must be kept at constant level. One way to solve the problem would be to employ a person to watch the system and add water when needed. But that would be very efficient. Instead, our ancestors worked out an ingenious alternative. They put a plot into the top bowl. If the top bowl is filled with water, the plot rises and blocks the inlet pit. As the water level fills because of the deeper water, the plot sinks down and the inlet is unblocked, letting water through to fill the bowl. In this way, the water level is constant. The system regulates itself because information about the current state of the system is used. Feedback to, to change the state of the system to open or close the inlet valve as necessary. In a similar way, accurate information about current performance in the classroom obtained through assessment can be feedback to the teacher and learners. If learner is found to be proceeding smoothly, the class carry out as planned. If the assessment reveals that all is not going well, carefully chosen to feedback can be used to trigger modifiers that will keep learning moving forward efficiently. Repeating, practicing, or revising if necessary, exploring and extending where opportunities arise. Less time is wasted because learners are not left to struggle with material they do not understand and are not helped by studying material that is already known. If no information is obtained or if the information is of poor quality, feedback cannot be effective. The information that teacher look for and the amount and kids and kinds of feedback they can offer to their students to help them improve their performance will depend in large measure on their beliefs about language learning, what they accept as evidence that learning has occurred, and what they believe are the steps required to help students to make progress. Yung 2010, the validity of a formative assessment approach is therefore closely tied to the theories of learning that support it. William 2011 provided compelling evidence for the power of willing conceived feedback given to the learners of all age to improve learning generally and to narrow the performance gap between the higher achieving and lower achieving learners. However, he also continued that simply providing feedback gives no guarantee that beneficial consequences will follow, and observe that some forms of feedback have actually been found to be counterproductive. The failure of much of feedback given by teacher to foster better learning may have variety causes of readings. 1998 suggested that students can often find the feedback they are given uninformative. It leaves them feeling that they know that they are close to or far from the goal, but they don't know what or where the goal is. Readings. 1998 page 47. It does not convey to the learners what a better performance would look like or what they need to change in their current performance to improve it. On the other hand, when potentially useful feedback is provided, it's often ignored by learners because it provided at the wrong time. After the work has been complete, it has been observed that as soon as grades are awarded, many learners tend to ignore the teacher comments and so fail to benefit from the feedback they provided. Table 4.4 layout of the future that have been found to characteristic more and less effective feedback strategies. Effective feedback is given at a point when it can be used by learners. This means that learners should be given opportunities to improve their performance on the basis of feedback. Feedback is more likely to promote learning if the learner are challenged to think about ways in which their work has been successful in communicating their intended message in ways in which it has not been successful. They should then be able to use the insight gained through feedback to try again or to revise what they have produced. This is one reason why advocates of assessment for learning suggest that the reward of grade which signal that a period piece of work a finish should be delayed for as long as possible and be happy and be open to modification through remedial work. Another reason is that instead of encouraging greater effort, constantly low grades can cause students to feel that they are poor learners at the motivation, while consistently high grade can encourage complacency and also lead a reduction of effort. William 2011. Watt Hill and Namara 2011, 2012. Term person referenced feedback, praise, or criticism of learners is not considered particularly valuable because it is uninformative about how performance should be motivated to make it better. It is much more helpful to other tasks. Referenced feedback that is concerned with the qualities of learners' work. Brevity is favor one or two well-close observation will be more likely to bring about productive reflection than a lengthy essay or lecture from the teacher on everything that could be improved. Feedback is more effective and the overall system of assessment more coherent if it can be demonstrated to relate to learning goals. In other words, it should be explanatory and corrective, making it as clear as possible to the learner how his or her work satisfy or fail to satisfy the criteria for competent performance and how it could be improved. Hill and McNamara 2012. Feedback based on checklist or rating scale provided that learners are understanding this is there more useful than simple grade or scores. Model of successful performance can also help learners to notice what is successful and unsuccessful about their own. Although it should be made clear that models are not intended for direct imitation. Intended learners will be better placed to benefit from feedback if they can learn how to interpret the criteria and use them to assess the work of other learners and eventually to assess their own work. Teacher as well as learner can benefit from receiving feedback. If a class is struggle to understand a new concept, the teacher need to know this so that he or she can provide more scaffolding support that help the learners to understand how to complete tasks or find another way to convey the ideas. When learners are already familiar when whatever is being taught, the teacher may be able to more quickly alter the unit or bring in some more challenging material. If such issues are only picked up during an end of unit test, it may be too late to take action. Frequency informal assessment activities keep teacher in touch with how well learners are able to assimilate new information and help to highlight where any difficult lies. Summary: the right tool for the job. As to language assessment are closer in nature to maps than to tape measure. Although they may differ in their precision and in the unit they employ. All tape measures are designed to measure length. In contrast, map represent and highlight different aspects of the multidimensional world according to the needs of the user. Like maps, language assessment do not and should not all measure and represent the same things. The choice of assessment technique should reflect the kinds of decision that user wish to make and the kinds of consequence that they hope will follow. The poor quality framework of practicality, reliability, validity, and beneficial consequence. Inform design and help user to apply the price principle. See Module 3, taking full account of the intended purpose for assessment. Just as there is no perfect map, no assessment can fully satisfy all four essential qualities. Ultimately, user must be satisfied that an assessment is justifiable use of resources because it is a better basis for decision and led to better consequence than the alternatives. At the same time, everyone involved should strive to improve on current practices.